Now the story mind, we said it had 4 levels. One level, that was the characters. Okay? And the characters represented the motivations. Here you go. Motivate. Okay, so characters are the motivations of the story mind. Up at the next level, I'll do that in a different color so we have a little contrast. Here we have the theme level, and that represents the value standards, or the means of evaluation, and we'll just say evalue. I know that's not particularly easy to read. Again, it can be read better on the CD-ROM version because the CD-ROM version has more clarity because we don't have to compress it as much as we need to for webcasting. Okay, the next level up from that, that's the plot level. And plot represents the methods of the story mind, methodologies. Okay, and then at this top level here, we're dealing with the genre impact, and we're dealing with the purposes, or perhaps the overall personality as a way of looking at it in the story mind. So we have these 4 areas: character, theme, plot, genre, the elements of structure. And when you look at them as a story mind, we have motivations, evaluations, methods, and purposes. Now all of these are put onto this chart that we looked at unfolded. And we can see that that's kind of a chart of the thematic nature of each of these. The thematic nature of characters, the heart of theme, the thematic intersection with plot, and the thematic intersection with genre. So in a sense, you might say that the Dramatica structural chart is a thematic chart, not just a structural chart. Okay? Why do we say it's a thematic chart? Because it deals with particular subjects. Up at the top here, we have universe, physics, mind, and psychology. Those words sound very scientific, and they don't sound like they're going to be easy to use for an author. In fact, they're really very simple. Think of the universe as a fixed state of things, a situation. Think of physics as some kind of an external activity. Think of mind as a fixed state of mind, like an attitude. And psychology as some internal activity, a manner of thinking, a way of going about problem solving, or a way of going about considering something. Any problem you encounter in real life, any topic you want to explore, can be defined as either an internal or external state or process. And when you divide up a problem into one of those areas and say, this story is about a fixed situation, it's about things that this is the way it is, and the problem is the way things are arranged. They have to change for the problem to be resolved. A story that took place in physics would be, this story is about some kind of an activity that's no good, some endeavor gone awry. The situation itself has a good basis, a good base state of things, but the activities going on within that situation. For example, universe, you might have a state of war. What if you look at a film that explores what it's like in a country that is in a state of war, or in a city that's under siege? Then you can look at all the different aspects in that fixed external state and say, this is our exploration, what this state is like. The problem is that it's under siege. Only if the siege is lifted will the problem be resolved. But while it's under siege, we can investigate what that kind of a problem is like. That would be a nation at war. Here you would be a nation waging war. You would be watching the battles, watching all the fights take place. You might say that Gone with the Wind, in terms of all the external things it examines, deals more with a fixed situation. Here's what it's like to be in a state of war. You see very little in the way of soldierly activity going on in Gone with the Wind. But if you look at, for example, Shenandoah with Jimmy Stewart, or you look at Saving Private Ryan, there you've got a lot of activity going on. It's no longer looking at just, this is a state of war, it's saying, here is the way war is waged. Or you might go down to here and deal with mind in terms of people's attitudes towards war. You might say, this is the way people feel about war. This is a warlike attitude where people have no tolerance. Or you might look at psychology and say, this is what war does to the way people think. They start getting warped manners of thinking. They'll begin to start to cheat and to hurt their fellow man and to lose their sense of trying to save for the future and deal with things right now, because their manner of thinking is so from moment to moment. The psychology of war, the attitude of war, the activity of warring, and a state of war.